There's a saying that goes, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. For some, that doesn't really matter. In the case of our new MPL Philippines champions, they started strong and they ended strong. But for the forecast though, especially the playoffs, that's all I'm holding on to. The fact that we named the champion right at the end of the day, but had a complete disaster leading up to the upper bracket finals. I'm not so sure if I'm ever going to recover from this, all right? My prediction rates are ruined, but I rest easy knowing I saw Fnatic Onyx Philippines becoming the champions this season. Let's talk about it. This is the Forecast Aftermath. At your service, my name is Leo, and we're covering the playoffs. We're covering a little bit of the whole season in general, and we're wrapping up this series, preparing for the upcoming World Championships. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for an amazing Season 14. I'll tell you now, the first couple of weeks it was a little rocky, and then we found our groove, you know. The English panel got established, and then a new vibe and a whole new dynamic came through since we did revive the duo cast format, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Some would say they still prefer the trio cast, and some days I would echo that sentiment. But something about constantly changing, reinventing yourself, innovating, allows for all of us to understand what it means to be Filipino champions, what it means to be the best at what we do. You have to be open to change, and Season 14 was all about change. We embraced it, and here we are in the dawn of a new era. The amazing season would not be possible without all of y'all, and specifically for my community, the Forecast community, everyone who follows and supports what we do here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We put up all of y'all's comments from that last episode, from a few episodes ago. You guys are consistently out here giving positive comments, except for the... Now, you know what? Forget about it. Like, you're all cool. In my book, you're all cool. Thank you so much. Again, Season 14 would not have been as good, as amazing, as great without you guys. Thank you. Now, with that said, Season 14 was good, great, but it was also very shocking. All right? The fact that Wolf decided to pursue his coaching career, forego his love for analysis and the desk, casting as a whole, that was shocking. And to see him helm a team, lead a team that was newly built. I'm gonna tell you now, I feel like TNC feels relatively new. Even if these are names and faces that we've known, like none of them are total rookies, even down to the coaching staff. Again, coach is flanked by Etomax and Goyo. Like we know those guys, right? We love them, but the fact that they still missed out on the playoffs, and now they are at a precipice, and they have to rebuild for the next couple of months, that was shocking. If anything, the aftermath of that is more shocking. It's going to be more difficult than the season itself, because you don't know what the future holds. While you were in the season, you know what was happening. Like, the consequences were clear. Not making it to the playoffs, I'm sure they made peace with that, but as painful as that is, you know, this is winter season, if you know what that means. Like, this is about rebuilding. This is about, you know, molding yourself to a new image. Like, that's what TNT is going through now, and I wish them all the best. Like, that was one large, shocking part of Season 14 that we saw week in, week out. The fact that they couldn't get a dub, they would get so close to a dub, and when we figured out, when it seemed like they figured something out, like, still nothing, that was tough, that was shocking. Another shocking aspect of Season 14 was, I think you guys saw this coming from a mile away, the fact that RSG did not make it to the playoffs. The fact that they lost Nats along the way, stumbled upon a gold mine of amazing talent and, sure, a lack of experience, but great, solid potential in Nibor. And the fact that RSG looked okay, like you watch their games, you look at them on the leaderboard, and you see that they're like, oh, it's very close to Blacklist, up until like week 6, week 7, oh no, they're neck and neck with Blacklist, until it was too late. That was shocking to me, because RSG they're a known element. Like the fact that for the past 2-3 years almost, RSG have been in top 4. One season 9, it's a majority of the same dudes. It's the same management, it's the same coach. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The rest of MPL Philippines happened. Like everyone leveled up. Everyone was just a step or two forward, while RSG was figuring out who they were and how to move forward without Nats. And I wish Nats all the best, but I think everyone figured out RSG before RSG figured themselves out, and before they could evolve and grow and find their place somewhere in the higher echelons of our standings. So that's what caused that, I think. And in hindsight, RSG and TNC are now going to that same winter arc. They're going to that same rebuilding and restructuring, and I wish them both the best. Talking about Season 14's meta, it seemed healthy, right? It seemed like, oh wow, look at these heroes coming up, like at least one or two every week. But I'll tell you now, we're actually at a lower stat when it comes to unique heroes pick going into the playoffs. I think that may have equalized going into the playoffs, if not at par, maybe like slightly below, like one or two, like a handful of picks down from the usual, from when we were in the utility jungler meta, which is fine. Like again, most of the time it's not about what it is. It's about how it feels and what it looks like. And here, when there's like 3 or 4 solid picks per lane, and then a crazy one coming out of nowhere every now and then, I think that's pretty healthy. Again, it allows for the draft and the metagame to be chess-like to a degree, but allow for creativity. And that's what I want. I want creativity. I want to see different kinds of team fighting. I want to see different kinds of pacing. I want to see different kinds of strategies, lineups, you know, like Omega's Rattlesnake. The boxes that came up relatively later, you know, when Eve became a legit pick. So all of these made for a seemingly healthy meta, and I'm here for it. I appreciate Season 14 a little more because of that. Speaking of seemingly healthy, how's about we pay the piper and do my due and get some push-ups in, all right? I do think I owe 70 to y'all. On behalf of the teams I called wrong, on behalf of the fan bases I shut down because of how much I invested in the new barangay hype and playoffs liquid, which we'll talk about later. Let's call on Rayash to recap the playoffs while I get these done. Again, 70 push-ups. Rayash, all you.
The final recap. The whole playoff story. While Leo does a whopping 70 push-ups. Also, should it be like 50 or 40 or something? Because it's still Fnatic and FCAP in the upper bracket. But anyway, Blacklist International took advantage of Omega's creativity and upsets them and sweeps them to knock them out of the playoffs. Our defending champions, Team Liquid Philippines, gets knocked out by Aurora. Falcon TP Bren is put to the limit against Blacklist International, but still prevails to send Blacklist to the lower bracket. Fnatic on the Philippines makes quick work against Aurora during the first meeting with a sweep. Fnatic on the Philippines claimed the first M6 spot to send FCAP down to the lower bracket. A battle between familiar faces ends with Aurora knocking Blacklist out with a sweep. The first best-of-7 series in the lower bracket finals ends with Aurora clinching the second M6 spot in their debut season, which means Falcons AP Bren will not be defending their world championship. And finally, a banger that went the distance all the way to Game 7. Fnatic Onyx Philippines are your brand new MPL Philippines Season 14 champions. Back to you, Leo.
There's your 70. How's that, Agents? How's that, Auroras? I think those are the two main fan bases I kind of messed with because of that, you know, play-ins round prediction. But que sera, regardless, let's talk about it now. This is a non-apology. I'm not going to apologize to Blacklist for having called it wrong in the play-ins, all right? That would do a disservice to how amazing they did. I don't think they'd like to be looked at as victims of my wrong calls. I'd like to say I'm impressed, all right? I didn't know how good you guys could get at punishing Omega for being a little too creative and, you know, drafting and playing the way they did, and how you would just like, get in there. Again, a sweep, come on. Blacks International, no matter how they did in the regular season, week 6 onwards, like that was their peak. Like, to be fair, we haven't really seen their peak. Their peak would have come at the FCAP match. Like when Blacklist faced off against FCAP, that was the real peak. But truth be told, this just shows you the consistency of this organization, the consistency of these coaches, this management, to seek out talent and to understand the talent that they have, to mold them into something else. Like, this is a playoffs. Blacklist is just as legit as liquid playoffs or FCAP playoffs. Like, these things are interchangeable. Which brings me now to how I invested a little too much in the story of liquid. I still believe that playoffs liquid is a thing. I still believe those 5, 6 players, those coaches, they're goated, all right? You can't take away what they did. You can't take away what they've done and who they are. But sometimes your heroes stumble. And sometimes, again, the rest of the field is ahead when you're just trying to recover. And I think that's what happened to Liquid here. So I don't know what the future holds, because, again, whatever's going on with Liquid right now, I hope they recover, because, again, that's a first in history that a defending champion is dropped in the play-ins. Best believe, I think that they have a brighter season 15 ahead. Speaking of bright, how about them Northern Lights, baby? Aurora, first ever MPL season as a franchise. It's not like these are new players or new coaches, but, you know, it's a new franchise. In their first outing, making it to the World Championship. Come on! Come on! This is the first international event for Bentings and Doming. The first one for Kite in a couple of years. The rest of them, they fought hard and well deep into M5, but come on. Come on, this just proves again the clutch gene that's within them. It's basically you split Blacklist in two, you name the other Aurora, and literally I think that doesn't do justice to what Aurora is right now and what they've done. But again, you can change the name, but these players remain the same as icons. Like, you can change the jersey, but at the end of the day, if the coach knows what to do to unlock the potential of these players, they can take Thunder Gods all the way to Game 7, make them seem like mortals. That's Aurora for you. Which now brings us to the greatest grand finals in the history of MPL Philippines. I'll say it now. I'll say it now. In my experience, all right? In my personal opinion, from where I stand, and who am I? I'm just a dude with headphones, a nice suit, and the best view in the house. And that's my opinion. After 5 or 6 years of MPL Philippines, like, that is the best grand finals in history. The last full 7 series was in season 7, and I called that with Rockhart. That was Blacklist International versus Execration. At the time, that was the greatest. At the time, that was a good back and forth and told a great story. But right here, right now, especially in the dawn of a new era, like we all know what it felt like going into this match, and we all know how shocking it was for Aurora to go that deep, to go around the brackets like that, and how dominant Fnatic Onyx is in the world of MLBB. And they went to Game 7. You had to be there, all right? You had to be in the room where it happened to understand. But watching at home, I'm sure you also get it. This is the greatest grand finals in the history of MPL Philippines. And that's why it felt so good to, again, in practice, you know, crown new kings of MPL Philippines. It feels so good to have these 2 new heralds of Filipino MLBB lead us into the World Championships. Aurora and our new champions, Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Which, by the way, right now, Fnatic Onyx feels like a blend of Falcons AP Bren and Team Liquid PH. Like, you take the best of those two and you put them together. Like, to me, that's the image of Fnatic Onyx Philippines, a super family. I'll tell you why. I've been saying this for years now. Falcons AP Bren feel like the best pure athletes in MLBB. All right, like they're just there to win. They're willing to train, put in the work every day, hours a day, week in, week out, whoever, whenever, wherever. Like, they will fight you. Fnatic Onyx does that too. Like, they are journeymen. Like some of these dudes have been first round dropouts. Some of these dudes have known what it feels like to not even make it to the playoffs, yet they still persevere, yet they still train. And that's the best you can expect from an athlete in the spirit of competition, to just always best yourself. And then you take that, mix it with Team Liquid Philippines' almost anime-like protagonist vibe. I don't know. Do you get that too? Like whenever Team Liquid walk into a room, walk on stage, like they don't have to tell you, and you just pay attention. That's what I think Fnatic Onyx PH has, right? You have King Kong, Sigma, the Beast. You have the gold standard Kelra, like you know them. You have Brusco, who doesn't have to tell you where he's been. You look at the man's resume, you look at the man's game, you know. And then you have Kirk, who's such a sweetheart. You know, he's shy, he's quiet, but you get into the land of dawn, you listen to the comms, he's at the forefront. And then you got Super Prince. Super Prince is an enigma. Super Prince is just magical. Like you don't even know, all right? Like, when you unlock his personality and when you know him for a while, like he tends to get warm and get jokey with you, but when you watch him, he's cold, and you listen to the comms, he's just all about business. You put these all together and you get Fnatic Onyx Philippines. You get the Thunder Gods. You get the super family. Like, to me, that's their image. And you know what? I'll say it now. Sprinkle in a little bit of RSG Philippines Season 9. Sprinkle in a little bit of the vibe that, hey, we're new. We know what the previous generation was all about. We know the standard that was set by Falcons AP Bren and Team Liquid Philippines, the Titans of MLBB. Make way. The Thunder Gods are here. Like, that's the vibe. It's such a hopeful and youthful approach to being champions. So take those three, all right? Season 9, MSC, RSG, and then the two Titans, put them all together. It's Fnatic Onyx PH for me, all right? That's what I see in our new champions. Tell me what y'all think. That's the forecast aftermath. Just wanted to share my thoughts with y'all as we close up Season 14. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as we always say, if I'm right, I told you so. If I'm wrong, curse activated. All right, spoiler alert, there's no curses, all right? No matter what we say or do, it doesn't change the output of these teams. It doesn't change the results. It's just them. It's just them and their opponents giving their darndest, and whoever comes out the end is the better team. Come on, we're just wrong. Y'all take care. Y'all have a great day. If you see me out, shake my hand. I'd love to meet y'all. Peace out. Hey, yo, I mean it though. If we see each other out and you know it's me, I wouldn't know it's you, shake my hand. Love you.